can hear myself.
It's mixing.
Yeah.
All right, so hello everyone. I know we only have one person who's here present right now, but of course this is a recording. So let's get started. First thing I want to do is introduce myself. I'm Mark Matuk. I am the Student Success Librarian of Systems and Electronic Resources for Middlesex Community College Libraries. Hello. So I want to actually get started by talking about information today, and more importantly, Google. So I can basically guarantee that all of you have used Google. And Google is really great for those incidental searches, like I'm hungry, so I'm going to search for pizza restaurants near me, and Google will spit back a list of pizza restaurants near you. The thing is that Google operates using algorithms. So you're trusting an algorithm of ones and zeros to give you results that that algorithm thinks are best for you. So as a researcher, you're not making those critical determinations. And that can be very difficult too, especially when you're doing research. You can get what's called information overload, and you'll receive results in the hundreds of thousands and millions. So having to sift through those is something that's very difficult and painstaking. It's not something that you should be having to do as a researcher. And then we run into the problems of information today, which are having to do with fake news, misinformation, and disinformation. Okay, so we know that it's very easy to post information on the web. We all do it through social media, and we all tend to mislead our audiences online. It's just something that's simple to do and not always intended to be terribly misleading, but it can be. So on the micro level, you might share that you're happier than you are, have more friends, maybe you're more fit, right? So that's misleading information on the web. That's a micro scale. And then if you look at it much larger in a global way, you have inaccurate information in the news and being published on the web all the time. Okay, so we have this idea that where you get your information speaks to the quality of that information. Okay, so we want to start to train ourselves to be researchers, because as college students you are researchers, and start to really think about where we're getting information. So we'll start today with getting our information from the MCC libraries. Okay, so to get to the MCC library website, of course, you'll go to the school's website. If you scroll to the bottom, head over to resources and click library. Welcome to the MCC library's website. Okay, we have two brick and mortar buildings. Of course, there's one in Lowell and one in Bedford, but if you'd rather log in rather than walk in, you can go to the website, and of course you're on an online course, so that is likely what you'll be doing. This site will be changing, of course, when we have our regular hours, so things will shift a little bit, but generally we're going to get an understanding of the layout and start searching within the library. So first is MCC search. We'll get right back over to that. And I want to go over these buttons here. This is for searching for books, of course, within our catalog. You'll be using this button and have used this button to access Canopy and other video resources at the library. Okay. Databases will return there. That's the home of the journals that you'll be searching in to get to articles and the like. This button for citing is very helpful, especially when you're doing things like annotated bibliographies, which you'll be doing in this course, journals and textbooks, your course subject guides. I've included links to the course-specific guide within the library tab of your Blackboard, okay? And then quick links. I want to go over this really quickly because you'll be accessing these resources from off campus. Do not stress out about the idea about logging in from off campus. Do not look for a login area. You'll be prompted when you need to log in, okay? But it's really good to know what that will entail before that happens. So I'm just going to click here really quickly so you can take a look at this screen. Familiarize yourself with this screen after the presentation for sure. It's very simple to log in. You're going to be using your birthday as your password, okay, and your A number as your username. All right. So let's get back. Okay. And after this presentation, if you'd like to refer to library tutorials, I definitely recommend that. Okay. So let's talk about searching within MCC. All right. So folks generally come to the desk and they say something like, well, I'm doing research on global warming. So we generally ask, what about global warming? Okay. And maybe you're not so familiar with the search that you're doing, right? You're just getting introduced to that topic. Perfectly fine. MCC search is a great place to start. So what I recommend doing is I'm going to type in global warming, okay, and run a search. For those of you accessing this resource from off campus, okay, you'll see a yellow banner appear at the top of this page. And it'll say something along the lines of, to get all of the information, you'll need to log in. Okay, so just click that button and you'll log in with those credentials that we just talked about a little while ago. Okay. Right at the beginning of your results page, okay, there is a button for start your research. Okay, these are the research starters. These are to help you to get introduced to whatever topic you're searching for. It's a great place to start because you'll get introduced to things like subtopics within the field that maybe you weren't considering before. Okay, and we'll start to get an understanding of why these subtopics and understanding the language within the field can make your research much easier. Okay, so these are a wonderful way to get introduced to topics. Let's start searching for articles. Okay, so I'm going to back up to our library website. Earlier we said that articles live within journals, which live within databases. Okay, let's search within databases. Now, the thing that makes the information and the resources so valuable within a library is actually the librarians who do the work to make it that way. What we do is whenever we bring in these databases, and we have 133 databases that are available to you, we understand that that is a lot to go through. So if you click on all subjects, which is this drop down here, you can actually narrow in on the databases that best suit your research needs based on the subjects that they cover. Okay. For today's purposes, because we're trying to do broad strokes, a general introduction to researching within databases, I always like to start with Academic Search Premier. And if you read these descriptions, you'll understand that Premier covers a lot of fields and academic topics. Okay, we'll start there. So earlier, we knew that we wanted to search for information on global warming. You'll notice that this is a bit different than searching on Google. Okay, Google has one search field. You'll notice that there are three, and there's the option to add more. All right, so first we have to understand what we're searching for. We know that our topic is within global warming, so I'm going to type that in the first line. Maybe as I've done my introductory research, I've discovered that I would like to address the topic or subtopic within my paper about public health. So we have this question, how does global warming affect public health? Okay, so when you're doing research, this information that you're finding within these resources is organized. Okay, so you can actually attribute this back to social networking. So if you are on Instagram and you're going to post a picture about kittens, right? And you want everyone to find this photo about kittens who may be searching for it, you're going to do #kittens. What you've actually done is created a subject heading or a keyword for that piece of information. The piece of information being the picture and the keyword being kittens. Think about your questions and the information you're searching for. They're arranged by keywords. So the keywords here would be global warming and public health. Okay. Now we're doing something a bit different than what we would do in Google. In Google, we might type out that question, but we're depending on that algorithm to figure out what we're actually searching for. Here, we have that control to really refine the results to get the ones that we need. So I'm separating these lines by keywords, so global warming and public health. Again, think of these as those hashtags. Okay, so we have those entered. And before we search, we want to do some refining, right? We said that as researchers, we want the control over the results that we get. So we want to get full text, and we know that right now we're searching for articles. So under document type, let's select article and click search. So here is our results page, okay? And this is within the database Academic Search Premier. So we have 186 results. So earlier I talked about searching within library resources as being more efficient and effective for research, okay, making your research easier. We're going to use tools to narrow our results from 186 to the results that matter most to us and what we're researching. The first thing I like to do is make sure that this is sorted by relevance. How relevant sorting works in these resources versus Google. Google bases its sorting and searching on your location, your social circles, your search history, your shopping, and advertisements. Okay, that has nothing to do with what the researcher's interests are. We want it to be based on the content and its value to our academic work. So how it's sorting is based on, you'll notice that some of these words are highlighted, okay? That's based on our search, okay? So however many times our search words and keywords show up is how it's sorting things. Now we want to refine our results. So I'm going to go to the left side here, refine results. Now we already have full text selected, which is good. We may want more relevant information to today, okay? You'll note that this isn't always critical, okay? The reason being is some topics just do not change over time and others do. Other topics are learning new things every day. And with global warming, that's one of those topics. So I'm going to search within the last 5 years because we're in the beginning of early 2020. I'm going to go back to 2014. Okay, and just hit enter or return on your keyboard. It'll update our results. And you'll notice that we have less results. When you're doing research, that's what you want. You're refining your results based on what will actually matter to you. We're getting rid of the things that don't matter to our search. Under source types, for this section, we're really focusing on peer-reviewed. You can adjust how you search to include magazines and newspapers, but right now I'm focused on finding peer-reviewed, so I'm going to select academic journals. And then there's this other wonderful tool called Subject Thesaurus Term. So just like it sounds, if you give this a click, it's using a thesaurus to find like terminology for the keywords that you entered. This can be extremely helpful, right? It can be helpful for us in finding other subtopics within these fields or other language that means the same thing, right? So we entered global warming. This is suggesting climate change. I'm going to give that a click. Okay, so we have 12 results. We've gone from well over 100 down to 12 that matter most to us and our search, okay? The first one actually looks really good. So public health impacts of global warming and climate change. Now, I am not going to click these buttons right away. What we want to do is we want to evaluate this, okay? We want to make sure, A, it's reliable information, but B, it really has to do with what we're searching. I'm going to click on the title of the article. Okay, so this is a record page. Like I said, just about everything that's included in these databases is intended to help you make your research more efficient and effective, right? We don't want to waste our time. So rather than having to skim through an entire article, we're going to begin our evaluation on the record page. I just want to explain what's on here first. On the left is how you would access the article, okay? This will look different for each database and each result that you get. Just know that it's generally on the left side is where you'll access the articles. In the middle, you have the record itself, which is a description of the article. and on the right are your tools. So these tools are generally used once you understand whether or not you want to use the article, to save it, to email it to yourself, or to print it. So looking in the middle, we're going to start our evaluation. Okay, I have included a outline for this presentation, which will be under the library tab in Blackboard, so take a look at that so you can refer back to these evaluation pieces. So the first thing I want to do is use the CRAP test. So the CRAP test is a funny little thing. It's for currency, relevance, accuracy, authority, and purpose. I got that a little bit out of order, but that's what it is. So the first thing that we want to do is look at currency. Now, currency meaning current or time, okay? So we're seeing that this is published in early 2014. That's within the 5 years that we set. I know that we're in 2020, but we're just at the start of 2020. Okay, so relevance, does it have to do with what we're searching? So in order to get an understanding of that, you'll see that titles for academic articles are basically very shortened descriptions of the article itself, and our keywords definitely show in that. It shows in the subject terms, which we talked about before, are the tags for the article. It's whatever the publisher felt that this article best represents. And then the abstract, which is a brief description of the article's contents. Okay, so we can see that it's definitely relevant to our search. Next, we'll look at authority. So you can see the word author in authority, and you can think on what authority. So what right do they have to speak about this topic? Okay, so we have the authors here, and you'll notice that there's a little 1 and a little 2 next to their names. Those tie down to author affiliations, and you'll see that 1 and 2 again. Okay, so we're getting an understanding of their experience in the field and their specialty in that field. So we both see that they are generally within the medical field. They're from the departments of dentistry. Okay, so they are professionals within the field. And then we want to get an understanding of accuracy and purpose. Okay, so we won't really understand that until we crack the article open. So that's what we're going to do now. So I'm going to click PDF full text. If you're accessing these resources from offline, it might be at this point that you are being hit with a login page. Just refer back to that link that we looked at before. So you'll see our article here. Now we're looking for accuracy and purpose. To start, for accuracy, we generally look at the language that they're using. Okay, this is a largely scientific article, so we're making sure that the language itself is scientific and professional. But also for accuracy, we want to make sure, like we said before, we want to make sure that the information they're using is reliable. Are they getting their information from reliable sources? And do they have a reference page? This is their version of a reference page, and these are their references. So I would say that it is reliable. And purpose, why are they writing this? So when we're looking at purpose, we start comparing academic works, like this one, to popular works, right? So academic works are usually pretty bland. They're not trying to interest you or entertain you, I should say. They're trying to get to the point. They're not using flowery language. They're also not using unnecessary graphics, such as images. I'm going to run a search really quick for a comparison. I wish I had this page up earlier. Just give me one moment. Parasites, climate change. So we're going to do a quick comparison between an academic article, which we have here, which we got from our databases, to a popular article. So the New York Times is generally regarded as a reputable source, and it is. But when we're looking at academic versus popular, we start to look at different things, okay? So we'll see this image, which is a terrible, ugly image that we never want to see, but it doesn't really inform us, right? We can Google image this, and it doesn't really have to do exactly with any argument that they're making. We'd rather see charts and graphs if we're going to see images at all. We're also seeing advertisements popping up on the page and within the page. This is an issue because we start to get bias because they may not to speak against anything that their paying advertisers may have interest in. We're also seeing conversational language rather than references. You'll see throughout this piece that Mr. Carlson said, okay? This is not a reference to a academic research or report. Again, more images that don't really inform us. We just know those are parasites, okay? Referring back to the academic piece, there is no flowery imaging or entertainment value. It's very simple and refers to statements of fact and other research, okay? It's not that you can't use popular works, it's just that you should be much more critical of them, okay? Popular works are not academic works. They're not peer-reviewed. In peer-reviewed and academic journals, they have a process of submission where a piece has to be reviewed by other professionals within the field before it's published. Okay, so that's a quick little evaluation piece. When we're looking at purpose, the purpose of this article and that crap test is to inform and educate. Okay, so let's head on back. Oops, no, I'm gonna go back here. Okay, so I like this article, right? And the idea is that I want to save this article. So you can either print it, mail it, or save it a permalink using these tools. What I definitely recommend is because you are creating an annotated bibliography, you should start to plug in this information as you do the research. That way you're not having to do this all at once, which makes you more likely to make mistakes. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to have this window on the left side of my page and have Noodle Tools on the right. And I'll get back to, oops, let's see. Let's see if it'll be friendly. Give me 1 second. I'll minimize this. Okay, so I'm going to show you in a bit, and we'll go back to how we access Noodle Tools and log in, okay? So I've basically done what Martha Stewart has always done best, and go ahead and made this ahead. That way I can just save a little bit of time and show you, okay? So I made a new project after logging in. What I recommend when you make a new project is select the citation style ahead of time. That way you don't have to go back and edit. And I definitely recommend advanced. Because we have an understanding of journals versus magazines, we're in college now, I think this is actually easier and less confusing than the starter one. I tried the starter one the other day and it was actually puzzling. So definitely select advanced. If you have any questions, absolutely reach out to me. You're not on your own. I'm happy to help, okay? So then you would hit submit to create your project. I have our project here for English 102. All right. And so we have our project selected, and of course we're working with our sources now. So go to sources. All right. And the sources that I've collected, being this one, should arrive here. Okay. So this is one that I've already done. What you would do normally is new source. We got this from a database, right? Because we don't have the print one with us. So I'm selecting database. And like this is an article. So like we said, articles come from journals, which are in databases. Let's click journal. And then we start using the information that's on the record page to fill out this here. And this will actually formulate a citation and a reference for us for our annotated bibliography. You would then type in your annotation here, okay? And then you would hit save. You can return to this page to edit it, all right? And say that you choose that you would not like a certain source to show up on your annotated bibliography or your reference page, you would simply uncheck this box, okay? And it won't be included. The nice thing is that you can change your mind later and all the information is still there. So normally you would hit save. I'm going to hit cancel so that we can take a look at this sample here. So this sample is actually this article here. Like I said, I did this a little earlier. So because I want to take a peek and see what it looks like prior to formulating this, I'm going to go to Options and Edit. So this is where I input all of our information. So you're basically seeing what they want and pulling from the record page on the left. This is why I recommend doing this as you do your work, right? As you do your research. That way you don't lose it, right? And it just becomes easier without having to catch up at the end. We have two contributors here, so two authors. You can definitely add a contributor in case there are more. And the system will know how to handle that in creating your citation. Our pages and our journal information, that is under source, okay? Now this information may change if you venture into other databases, which I definitely recommend based on whatever you're researching. Like we said earlier, and you can go back in the video, you can choose a subject and it will recommend databases for you. But your source information is this is the journal title, followed by the date information, your volume and issue number, and the page ranges, okay? And then of course we're just plugging in our annotation here. I copied and pasted some information from our library guide on annotations. This is not an annotation of this article. And I know that in Blackboard, your professor has actually given you an example of an annotation. Definitely refer to that. These things do vary from class to class and assignment to assignment. So just keep an eye on that, okay? I'm not saving anything because we didn't make any adjustments.
Mark, can I interrupt for 1 minute?
Absolutely.
Can you tell, this is just a logistical question, how do you split the screen like this?
Okay.
Because I think this is super helpful for everybody.
Yeah, so what I did was I grabbed the top of my window, and with window devices, you can drag it over to the right and it'll snap into the right. If you're using a Mac, there's actually applications that do this in the App Store. One that I recommend and I use all the time is Magnet. Okay. But otherwise, you're just adjusting the window sizes themselves, okay? But I definitely, that is a great thing to use. It's very helpful. Much easier to copy and paste this information into the records. Other than that, I just want to wrap up by showing you export, okay? This is how you're going to get all of this information into a Word document, okay? So from that Word document, of course, you can copy it and paste it into your assignment document, but I recommend starting here. So you'll go to Print Export, and generally it's anything that's selected, but because I just have one in here, it'll include it. Print Export to Word. It's going to take a minute and then open up a Word document, or it will download it to your device, okay? And you'll see that it's made the formatting for you with a hanging indent, which is difficult to do. If you have any questions about that, should it not come out like this, I'm very happy to help you, okay? But other than that, that's been introduction to the libraries, searching within databases and some of the resources, and bringing that information over to Noodle Tools, okay? Make sure that you take a look at the contact page. I've included also this outline into Blackboard, so take a look at that and definitely reach out if you have any questions. Yeah, actually, that's right. Let's go back to let's minimize this. Space. So what's it here? Okay. I'm glad we recorded.
Yes. So Lauren, do you have any questions? I guess not.
Okay.
So I guess we're all set.
All right. Well, thank you all. And again, definitely be in touch should you have any questions. Happy to help. hours and schedule based on what campus I'm on is in that contact section. I thank you for the ones who have reached out thus far. Definitely do that. I know it can be tough navigating this stuff. Otherwise, have a great day.